All right, great. Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Dayton's Board of Selectmen's regular meeting. This is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. It's at 5:30 p.m. 6 o'clock p.m., sorry. Got a mistake here.
Recording in progress.
This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Can we please have a call to order?
Nicole Mello, present.
Mark Pacheco, present.
And Peter Karen, present. And we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm just asking that, just for a couple seconds, can we stay standing after the Pledge of Allegiance? Because we lost a couple of neighbors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Like I said, we lost two neighbors this week from Dayton. Cinda Borges and Thomas Moscato. Thank you. First up is scheduled appointments. This is a recommendation, so this is a review, discuss, and act. Recommendation to appoint Kristen Kearns to the Dayton Cultural Council. Oh, hi, I didn't even see you here.
I know.
Hi.
I'm trying to get you up.
Yeah. What's going on? You gonna be it?
I'm gonna be back on it.
Okay, that's great.
Yep,
I know you left for a little while
I did.
and moved to,
North Carolina for 2 years.
wow, what brought you back?
Miss the kids too much.
Oh, yeah?
And grandbaby.
Sure. That's cool.
I apologize through the chair. They have to go
Oh,
to the
yeah,
podium
you
to speak
stand
to
up,
the
I'm sorry.
microphone so we could get recorded. Yeah, so people could hear. Thank you.
I formerly was the chairperson
Right.
for the Cultural Council for several years.
Yes.
And a member, and I'm willing to come back.
Okay,
They always
great.
need help.
They do. How many people are on that committee now?
I think they're at the minimum of, well, with Laura and I being appointed, they'll be at the minimum of 6. So they
6.
can always use more people for
Right.
the Cultural Council.
It's a big
waste.
responsibility.
It's a waste if we lose those funds.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you wanted to come back. It's important
Yes.
to us and to the town. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Nicole, do you have any questions for?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
No, welcome back, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So this is a review, discuss, and act, so we need a recommendation on the floor.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend to appoint Kristen Kearns to the Dayton Cultural Council.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Thanks.
Kristen.
You can see the town clerk to be sworn in.
Okay, thanks.
Laura, hi, how are you? Your turn. It's not very difficult, obviously. You just saw what Kristen went through.
Right.
Why do you want to be on the committee?
I just want to bring some culture to Dayton and see what we can do.
She's twisting you around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the librarian, so I think I have some good access to opportunities there. So
Right.
hopefully we can combine forces.
Cool. Okay. I have no questions. I think it's great that you want to do it. We always need volunteers, and anytime somebody comes up and steps forward, I think it's important to appoint them, to bring what they can to the table. Nicole, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have the opportunity to mention that I've enjoyed what you've done on Facebook. You bring different things to the table. You show what the library has. So I'm guessing that you're probably going to do the same for this. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nicole.
How did you hear the vacancy? Did you see it online or? word of
Nicole,
mouth?
Kristen told me.
Oh, perfect. Very good.
The library every week.
Oh, perfect. I like that.
So again, this is a review, discuss, and act. So we need a motion on the floor, please.
I'll make a motion to appoint Laura Reynolds to the Dayton Cultural Council.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations
Welcome.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fazzato, you're up, sir. You can come up.
Hi.
Hi. Where do you want to start? I understand you have some kind of
Well-
announcement you wanted to make.
It's about my license,
Yeah,
and I ain't got, I'm out of business without a license,
right.
and I'm not working without a license.
Okay,
I'll be 82 next week, and I'm pulling the plug. I'm all done.
you're gonna retire?
Yep, all done.
How long have you been doing it?
40 years.
That's a long time.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I've owned the house for 55 years.
Yep,
So, the only thing is, I go in the back now, I walk in the back.
sure,
I keep my wife's 56 Ford Victoria in the back.
nice.
I change the oil, grease it.
Yep.
And I do my own maintenance.
Yeah, you can do that.
And when it comes to running my business, I'm all done.
Okay. What are you gonna,
making noise.
what's that, sir?
Every time he makes noise.
Every time he makes
he gets
noise.
a call.
Yeah, I know
Last time
that.
the cop,
Yep,
excuse me, Mike. Last time he called the cops next door, I wasn't even in the back.
okay.
All right, he's standing on the coop, watching me walking around working and stuff like that.
Is it necessary?
Is it necessary?
Yes.
I'm not there, I don't know what happens,
Yeah, well,
but
that's what he does.
I wouldn't think that
I
that
got-
only sounds
I got-
necessary.
I got new cameras coming in,
Okay,
okay, and all solar panels. They're gonna be working. I'm taking all the old ones off.
sure,
I'm gonna have all solar panels.
nice.
And if he gets caught, guess what? We're gonna be back here again.
You have the right to complain, absolutely. What are you going to do in your retirement?
I'm retired right now.
What are you gonna do? Anything special?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll start going. I'll buy myself a boat. I
Nice.
might go fishing.
Cool.
I have a couple of things
you.
to say, is that okay?
You
Yes.
just have to give your name for the,
Well, my name is Michael Fussato. I'm
Yeah.
a
My
younger
brother.
Yeah.
Joe.
Me and him are close.
He has a tenant above the garage that has 3 young girls. Them girls can't ride up and down that street because of Mr.
I'm sorry, you have, say that again? 3 tenants what?
Young girls.
Yeah, but where are they?
In my
They live
apartment.
Oh,
above
your
his
apartment.
garage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What I'm saying is, they can't ride up and down the road because of Mr. LePage.
Why not?
Why not? Check his records. He stands out in front of my brother's house and we're sitting on the porch and he's staring at us. Is that necessary too?
I wouldn't think so, but,
He's stalking me.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The girls won't even go out of the yard. They're only this big.
Sure.
Because of all this.
yep,
It's gotta stop.
right.
And
I think if he's going to retire, that will probably alleviate 90% of the problems.
but
I don't know about that.
Okay,
I'm gonna be in the backyard. Believe me.
sure,
There's always something to do on your property.
yep.
All right. I sold 13,000 picnic tables. I built picnic tables for 14, 15 years. I'm always doing something.
I think he has the right to go in his backyard and do what he wants. It's his property. He pays
Yes,
taxes.
it's just that he can't run a business, that's
He's
all.
not gonna run a business.
Right.
I'm
So,
calling
I
it
mean,
quits.
you know what I'm saying is if he makes noise and, starts his car up or something,
No, that's not-
He gets a
that's-
call.
Right, that's
I-
not gonna
And then the
happen.
police come down, that's just crazy.
Yep,
It's not
Have-
necessary.
Can
That
I-
needs to stop.
sure.
Can I say something?
Sure.
If
It's-
there's a
it's your
noise-
time.
If there's gonna be a noise and I'm not there, he's gonna call again. It's costing the taxpayers thousands of dollars. Had fire trucks there, cops there. Fire trucks have been there, 2 fire trucks, 10 firemen, right? And he slams the door in Joe White's face. Is that called for? There's no respect for older people.
I think everybody in Dayton knows what's going on.
Everybody knows LePage.
So,
Yeah. Okay,
They ought to. I lived there for 55 years. And I worked for the town for 18 years.
did you, what'd you do for the town?
I ran the landfill for 15.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I worked for the highway department for 3 or 4 years.
Cool.
And then I went into my own business.
You can come back to the highway department.
No, I'm off that. They wanted me back, but I didn't
I'm sure
want
they
it.
did. You're all
anything
through.
else to say? You got anything else to say?
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they know what's going on.
I mean, I could write a book if you want one.
There's 2 sides to every story. I think your neighbors would have a different side. A lot of what you said sounds like a civil matter. As far as you running the scrap business, I understand you're not gonna do it anymore, and if there's any
I can't
neighbors,
hear 'em.
I
if
can
there's any neighbors here, they should take a video if they think that you are running scrap in or out, or running your business, and the building commissioner is the zoning enforcement agent, and he would be the one to levy any fines. So if there's any neighbors who see anything, sounds like it's the appropriate chain of action just from you know, what I've done for my research, talking with the town.
Yeah, and not only that, if I go residential, I'm retiring and all, the phone's gonna keep ringing, he's gonna call, he's gonna keep
It
calling.
ain't gonna end.
Well, let's
It's
hope it
not
doesn't
gonna
happen.
end.
But like Mr. Pacheco said, that would become a civil matter between you and them. It's not something that is governed by the
So what
town.
matter? You've been in court for 50 years.
Yeah,
And every time we went court, he lost.
Okay.
He accused me of contaminating his well and everything.
Sure.
And I proved the whole Taunton River's polluted. Okay? This guy's a nightmare. That's all I got to say.
okay, great.
done.
I'm not sure why this is a review, discuss, and act. What were we voting on?
It doesn't, you could just, when it was initially put on the agenda, we thought that Mr. Fazzato may have challenged
Oh,
the
the
license. So-
Okay.
So, it's, no action is required by the board.
Okay. Nicole, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
Mark?
I think that was very generous to put it on the agenda to challenge.
Sure. All right, sir.
Why we have
Anything
to
else
do
you want to
that.
say?
Nope, I'm all set.
All
Thank
right,
you.
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good work.
Mr. Haig, how are you, sir?
It's no joke.
How was the ice cream last night?
No, I was that soon.
No need for that, guys. There's no need for that.
Hi.
Good evening,
Good evening, sir.
and I'm here this evening because you have before you a proclamation to establish Dayton as a Purple Heart town.
Yeah?
You may have seen around some of the other towns, cities, the signs are going up, say Purple Heart Community.
I certainly see them.
The proclamation is the national proclamation written by the Purple Heart Order, and they want to have everything uniform. And if you adopt this evening, we will send it up. They will commission our signage and give us a flag. And somewhere around August, mid-August, they would like to come down and have a ceremony and officially bring the town on to the rolls of Purple Heart Communities.
Sure.
Have a few speakers, and we do have quite a few Purple Heart recipients in town.
Do we?
Yes, we do. And what we will try to do is locate every one of them.
Sure.
And invite them to that ceremony. And the only cost, it's not just cost neutral, there is a few dollars, always.
Sure, that's okay.
Always is.
Yep.
We're gonna have to buy a few signs, they're gonna give us a few signs. And then the flag is a very nice flag.
It's the least we can do.
We need another flagpole.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Where is it going to fly?
Well, that'd be your decision. We
Yep.
could put a little committee together and see if we want to put it up here at Veterans Park, or
Okay.
if there's another place you'd like to put
Yep.
it. And
Can it go on one of the flagpoles that are there? Or they're not allowed to be shared?
well, no, not really. We would want to give it its own
Okay.
space and
Yep.
respect, and we wouldn't want to jack it. The only jack we have is by Congress is the POW flag that flies under the United States flag.
Right.
That's by act of Congress. But I think our own flagpole.
Okay.
And if I do real well next year, I may have it in my budget for a poll, but if I don't, I'm sure the town administrator will be able to find it for us, right?
I'm sure we can come up
Could
with
be a
something
Boy Scout
for you.
project.
Boy Scout project, yeah. Well, we were with the Boy Scouts last night. We had
Yes, it was a good
right?
time.
We had a good time. So, just here to lobby a little bit. I don't
Okay.
think it's really necessary, but,
Yeah, no, thank you very much for
Appreciate voting
doing
on
this.
that tonight.
I know you do a lot of work, and sometimes it goes unnoticed, other than to the people who you do it for, but the town certainly appreciates what you do.
well, the veterans community appreciates the town also, because the town of Dayton, I found out as soon as I got here that you take care of your veterans. We
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a review, just a proclamation, so, do you want us to read it, Ralph? Is that the?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate to read it. Yeah.
This is a proclamation for the Purple Heart Town, whereas the people of Dayton, Mass. have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the citizens of our community who selflessly served in the armed forces that have been vital in maintaining the freedom and the way of life enjoyed by all of our citizens. Whereas the citizens of our community have been killed in action while servicing in the armed forces, have been posthumously awarded the Purple Heart for the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest American military decoration, it was created at the badge of military merit, made of purple cloth in the shape of a heart with the word merit sewn upon it on August 7th, 1782, in Newburgh, New York, by General George Washington, and then reestablished the Purple Heart on February 22nd, 1932, by General Douglas MacArthur. And whereas the heritage it represents is sacred to those who know the price paid to wear the Purple Heart. And whereas that August 7th is nationally recognized as Purple Heart Day. And now, therefore, it's proclaimed, we, the Board of Selectmen, hereby proclaim the town of Dayton, Massachusetts, a Purple Heart town, honoring the service and sacrifice of those from our community who were awarded the Purple Heart while serving in our nation's wars. And also it be proclaimed that Dayton, Massachusetts will recognize August 7th annually as the Purple Heart Day, and urge our citizens and organizations to display the American flag as well as other public expressions of recognition of our Purple Heart recipients. And it's going to be dated and signed by the Board of Selectmen. So when do you think that will be left? Oh.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hear it.
He's not gonna mess around. You gotta guess.
It's out of here.
Said it already.
I think so too. Tom Ferry, you're up, sir.
Oh wait, Peter, 6:15 we missed.
There's
The
a,
one-day liquor
Oh,
license.
liquor license. Oh, they here?
we have, Christopher Hero is on.
Oh, hi.
There he is.
Sorry about that. That was my mistake. I completely missed that on the agenda. It is here, but I just read over it. You want a one-day license?
Yes, yeah, and I appreciate the board hearing this today. I know we were a little late in getting the process going, but my name's Chris Aroon, I'm the president of DBSL, reside at 2657 Cortland Road. So what the league has done in the past is we do an annual field day or family day where we have events at the complex, food, home run derbies, tug of war, face painting, different kind of things like that to engage the families, give them kind of a fun day out, and really be one of our main fundraisers at the league. So this is something we had done for umpteen years until the pandemic hit, and we've struggled to get it back on the books. So this is our first year kind of going back through all the steps and all the necessary leads for the day. We have it planned for June 8th, which is about a week and a half away now. And we're requesting a one-day liquor license so we can serve beer in the premises and charge for that as part of our fundraising as well.
Sure. Usually we require a little bit more lead time than that, but it's going to be on you to get all the paperwork in time and have it signed off by each department that has to sign it. So we can discuss it. It could be approved, but with the stipulation that it would get all the signatures that are required. Nicole, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't have anything.
Mark, you want to? Okay.
Through the chair, just to speak to it, Mr. Hero went out, they did provide their insurance.
Yep.
And they did, and he does have a tip certification.
Okay.
For serving alcohol. So the two hardest things are done.
Sure.
So,
That was part of my ignorance to the process. I waited to get all that. It took a long time to get our insurance set. So unfortunately that filled some time in the process here. But I spoke to Leanne earlier. Hopefully we've got our ducks in a row now to
Great.
get this ready. And next year we'll be much more prepared.
Sure. Like you said, the hardest part is done. It sounds like it's going to be a great time for everybody who's involved. If there's a recommendation on the floor to approve or to not?
I make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for the Dayton Baseball and Softball League contingent upon all of the necessary signatures and paperwork to be filed with the Board of Selectmen's office.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Come on down and leave.
Yes, I
Thank
will.
you.
I will live right up the street.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Tom.
So, this is for the vacation time, correct?
This is for the supplies bid award,
Okay,
and then credit of years of service for Dennis.
right. So they have the packet for the bids, right?
Yes, we do. I have no questions. It's the same thing we do every year. Do you have any concerns, or? No?
Nope.
Could you go over it for the public, so the public knows what this is?
So we're part of the Citizens Consortium. I believe there's 22 towns, so we all put our quantities into a pool, and all the vendors bid on the supplies annually for this. And we usually make out pretty good, and it helps out on the legal stuff and administrative stuff also with the advertising and whatnot. So it's a little bit more streamlined, helps out all the offices on our side with it, and plus we get a good deal on materials.
Yeah.
So that's what you're voting on, and we're not lone wolves in this, and, so we have monthly meetings also to go over the vendors, and which we do grade them, so if we have
Yep.
a problem with it and whatnot, we're coached on how to deal with that, to wean that out.
How are the prices this year compared to last?
They still went up.
They still went
Yes,
up,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
And what kind of, these 22 communities, is that what you said?
Cities and towns?
Yeah.
Yes,
So you negotiate as one?
yes. Yep, on some of the services, because we do services 6 months away from the materials, we break it up into sectors, because like the wage system is different near Boston versus
Right.
down here.
Yep.
Other than that, for the materials like you're bidding on, for us as a whole.
Okay. I'm sure you've done your homework, and without fail, you always do. And I look at these, and the prices seem high, but like you said, I'm sure they've gone up and they're high everywhere.
Those reflect the lowest bids, so
Yeah.
they were a lot higher, other
I'm sure
ones.
they were.
Do you have to use the lowest bidder, or any person listed on this bid tally you can use? Like, for instance, you have dense graded crushed stone, this, like, five vendors.
We historically use the lowest bidder unless we have documented reasons not to. That's the importance of the group, so we can do it together.
Okay.
A 3-cent difference per ton for one company to the next. Okay. Nicole, do you have anything
Nope.
more? Do you have anything else you want to add? Okay.
don't.
This is a review, discuss, and act, so we need a motion on the floor.
Through the chair,
Yeah.
if the motion to, if it is the desire of the board to accept the bids, and if that is, there's no signatures required at this point, but if any signatures are required in association with these bids, to authorize me to
To sign
do that.
Sure.
I'll make the motion to accept the DPW supplies bid award as presented, and to authorize the town administrator to sign any necessary documentation if needed.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Credit for years of service for Dennis.
Yes. And,
What happened?
yes, and Dennis is here this
Hi,
evening
Dennis.
also.
How's it going? Yeah, you'd like to be back? Good.
So as you know, Dennis was with us for almost 14 years.
Yeah.
And he, I believe the grass seemed greener on the other side of the fence for a while, but we had an opening, and he chose to come back with us. And it was perfect. I mean, it's turnkey, you don't have to train him,
Right.
off he goes. But within the contract and also coming in the door, doesn't have any vacation time now, at
Right.
least until we consider, and part of the contract allows us to consider that. So he'd like to, he gave us a letter, I believe you have the letter?
Yes.
To consider at least where he left off.
I read it, but, yep.
Through the chair, if I may, as you're going through it, we, as you may recall, when Mr. Hazel was appointed to the position, we gave him the salary with time served. But in terms of the contract with the highway, there's some discretion associated with it. We, in his appointment letter, we said that we would give him a probation period of 180 days, and upon completion of the 180 days, then 5 days of vacation. But again, the contract, it's up to the discretion of the board. If you want to give him more time associated with the time he has been an employee with the town of Dayton. Again, the contract is clearer when it comes to salary, but not as clear when it comes to vacation.
So how many vacation days will it be now?
So with the almost
You said the
14,
5 days. So with how many years?
he had just over 13,
13,
yes, and that was 20 days.
20 days?
Yeah. I have the contract, 10 to 16 years is 20 days.
Still have to mow the grass on the other side of the fence, huh? Even though it's greenery? Nicole, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
Mark?
Just, not for this particular example, just in general though, I have some comments. When making these type of decisions, it would be helpful to know if, before I walk into the meeting, if the department head recommends it, if the union has vetted it, does the union recommend it? Does HR recommend it? Has HR reviewed this for this employee? And our town accountants, we should have a figure, what does it cost? All these decisions that we have has an impact on the cost of the budget. So nothing about this particular example, but in general, to make an informed decision, it'd be nice to kind of have all that kind of stuff for these employment decisions that we make ahead of time walking into the meetings, because it's just, those are kind of my questions. Did the union consider it? Do we have a past precedent of this in the past? Do we have any paperwork in the past that says that we have, that the vacation days were on the books when the employee left? Did they buy them out? Like, those are the types of questions that I would have.
Right. Again, the union did not comment on it, but as I said, the contract is clearer when it comes to pay as opposed to vacation time. It does leave it up to discretion. I know that the town accountant in anticipation sort of calculated if the full vacation time was given. So I mean, I have no strong recommendation, erring on the side of caution when we did the award letter, we went with the 180 days and the 5 days as a new employee. So, I mean, given Mr. Hazel's years of service to the town and Mr. Ferry's recommendation, I wouldn't be opposed if the board sees fit to grant Mr. Hazel the days if he were to have continuous service.
I have no issues with it, but could we develop something, some sort of
We
policy
will.
or practice,
Yep.
just to kind of know that every stakeholder and every administrator for the town has reviewed it and given its proper attention it deserves before it hits our meeting?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
How many of your employees have been there less time than the 13 years?
I think that just Mike is the only one there. Everyone else is a lot greener.
Yeah, okay. Is it going to create an issue with him walking in and getting his 20 days? He left.
Right.
I'm not saying there should be a penalty for that. I don't believe in penalizing workers who do a good job and certainly wanted to come back. But, I mean, if I was there 10 years and not getting 20 years and had been there 10 years straight and faithful, is there going to be a bad taste in their mouths that this is allowed to happen?
I don't foresee that, no. And this is not accruing the time that he was not with us either, just the
Right.
time of service, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I do not foresee a problem.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
Is that a good practice to let members of the public have public input on an employee? So we're the decision makers on this, so we're the Board of Selectmen. We have a time in our meetings for public input. This is a sensitive employment matter. I don't know if it's appropriate to have a public input on these types
Sure.
of sensitive issues.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned past practice, that's why I stood up.
I don't think it's fair to the employee.
I think I am well qualified to talk about past practice on this subject in this town.
I have no doubt you are, but I just think it's wrong to, I think the board can make a decision without allowing just anybody to stand up and,
I'm not just anybody.
no, it's.
I have
think it's
voted
wrong.
on these issues. May I continue, Mr. Chairman? We have in the past allowed this. We've hired police officers from other communities with no service indictment at all. And when they come here, they bring those kind of benefits with them. That's part of the reason why they will come. If you get an experienced employee, and we've got them, who have come here from other communities. As an employee of the school department for over 20 years, I left the school district. The first thing the Commonwealth said was, "What are your benefits when you left?" They did provide my full vacation days. The other thing is, because of the nature of the work, I really believe there should be a standard policy about this, even if some contracts have it and some don't. When you have somebody come in, whether you recruit them from another community, or whether it's an employee who has served you and they're coming in, I think that needs to be recognized. The fact that you let an employee come back to service indicates must have been a good worker.
Okay.
So we've done it in the past, and I just want that to be known.
Just for the record, I fully supported this right from the beginning. I think it's appropriate. It was more just having all of
Procedure.
the information ahead of time.
Sure.
I think this is great. I'm so glad Dennis Hazel came back to the town. It was more just a procedure.
Okay.
And then
Sure. I understand. I
being
agree with you.
someone who, very procedure-oriented, I think it's a slippery slope. I kind of know,
Yeah.
I already made my point, but
Yeah. Okay. I think we can do that. I mean, I don't know how many times this issue will come up, but if it comes up
But we'll
again,
have it in
we'll
place,
just be
yep.
prepared. Okay. Then is there a motion on the floor to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve Dennis Hazel's credit for years of service as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Okay. Is there a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tom.
Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis. Chief? Hi.
Tonight I bring before you Tom Meneses. Tom resides at in Maple Street, Fall River. It's my recommendation that the Board of Selectmen consider appointing the following candidate as a part-time dispatcher. The above-named applicant has already completed a state-mandated training, already works in the neighboring community, and adding Mr. Meneses to the part-time workforce would help reduce and keep costs down for any mandated overtime that would reflect on mandating a full-time employee.
Okay. I know we've talked before, but when is the opening? You have an opening now?
Technically, yes, because the person I appointed previous doesn't have the availability that we thought we would have, so it's been more or less a chasing game. So I'd like to eliminate the one person that I appointed months back and have him fill that slot.
Okay.
He has a lot more availability.
So you're not adding in an
I'm
additional?
not adding, no.
Right.
No.
Okay. It concerns me because, like I said earlier to you, that we do have a hiring freeze.
Correct.
And I'm not sure if this, and maybe Mark can add to this, certainly Nicole as well, whether or not we should be doing this now as opposed to waiting till there is that opening in
Like,
September.
like I said, it's not creating any positions, it's not adding any obligation payment to the town. It's basically having a part-time employee on hand to be able to cut down on the overtime costs. That would actually force a full-time employee in if overtime were to get denied. So they get paid a lot less money per hour than a full-time.
So what is the overtime procedure now? Somebody calls
So-
out and...
So it goes through the full-timers, but if they don't want it, instead of forcing it, they have the obligation to work it for less money. So they have first right of refusal right now. So instead of forcing somebody
full-timers
in,
do.
right.
So it's
instead of
not really
forcing-
gonna save us on overtime.
No, but I mean, a lot of the time does go down to the part-timers, and we've had a demand for part-time dispatchers. It's so hard to come by.
Sure.
To fill shoes in this field.
Okay. Nicole, do you have any
He's already
concerns?
certified.
No, I don't have any questions.
He's already certified. It doesn't
Right,
cost
I
me
see that.
money to send him to school. He's working in the neighboring community, and it just brings all the qualifications to the table.
Okay. Mark, do you have any concerns?
I don't.
No. I think it's great you want to come on board, and I'm glad you're already certified. Understand that we do are very carefully looking at anybody that we put on to add to the town payroll as not an addition, but you will be taking the place of somebody who eventually retires, and that person moves up to full-time, and you will get those part-time hours. I assume that's what
Right.
you were talking about earlier. Okay. Then, is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion to appoint Thomas Meneses as a part-time 911 dispatcher.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck, sir. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you for joining the team.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. You're welcome. Yes, Bob? About this? Can it wait till public input, or? Sure, we're almost there. The chief is not here, the fire chief. Do you want to take his spot?
I don't know if I can, but I will do my best. As you see in your pocket, Chief McGee has a disclosure for, he's looking to hire his son as an on-call firefighter. Right now, both the McGee family is enjoying that son's graduation from Bristol Aggie. Although we thought it was important for transparency to put this before the board, Chief McGee's son Colin has been a junior firefighter. He's EMT qualified. He has all the qualifications for an on-call firefighter. So regardless of his last name, he would be a good hire for that position.
Sure.
Again, Chief McGee has an incredible amount of integrity. He wanted to do this properly, and again, he would have been here if it were not for that graduation, which was supposed to occur tomorrow. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on his behalf if you have it.
How will payroll be handled?
How will payroll be?
Signing off on payroll because it's his son,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, his payroll will not be different than any other on-call firefighters, but I mean, we have to disclose that as a matter of potential conflict of interest. His direct supervisors will be. The chief will not be his direct supervisor. As I understand, it'll be the shift commander and lieutenant.
So, a fire happens, an on-call goes out, and it's first come, first serve as far as the people who come, the fire.
Right, that I cannot, I can't answer. I don't know how the on-call
Okay. All right.
Of course.
I'd like to ask that of the chief, just, again, to keep it on the up and up, that he'd get no preferred treatment.
Right. Again, Chief said that, if the board is uncomfortable making a decision tonight on it, and he would be, happy to come back at the next meeting to discuss it.
Okay.
So,
Nicole, do you have any other questions?
That was my only question.
Yeah, Mark?
No, I don't have any issues.
Okay. Then we need a motion on the floor.
Make a motion to accept the conflict of interest disclosure as presented and place on file.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Serpent. Hi, guys.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Sure.
I see that you have a very packed agenda, so much like every board, I'll try to be considerate of your time.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm Michelle Tinger, I'm the Assistant Director of Environmental Planning over at SERPED. I am joined by Principal Natural Resources Planner Karen Pettinelli. So I did send a request to share the screen just because we do have a presentation for you tonight.
Right.
I believe, okay, thank you.
okay, just give me 1 second, we'll get that going.
I'll just take a moment to have that up on the board for you.
Yep, here we are. She's quicker than me.
There we go. So, we're here before you tonight to discuss your conservation subdivision bylaw. Since this is really the first time we're coming before this board, we wanted to be able to provide you with any background. Just mentioning to you how we got to where we are today, the review process that we've done, and what has ultimately brought us to have a redlined version for you to review and provide us with any feedback and comments. So I'll start off with what an open space design is. It provides flexible subdivision design, reduces the environmental footprint of development with smaller lot sizes. Undeveloped land is often set aside for conservation. And then there are typically so many different names for this type of bylaw. For Dayton, it's a conservation subdivision.
Right.
But these can be called open space residential designs, natural resource protection zoning, conservation subdivisions, cluster, flexible development. They all mean the same thing, but just to say that they can be called so many different things. SERPED back in, I believe, 2023 around, started a regional review. So through EEA grant, ultimately we were provided funds to be able to assess really what's going on in the region, where things are, what the numbers are. So we did this regional review. We also had interviews with communities as well as developers to just get an understanding of where the pain points are, what are the challenges, what are the success stories too, what's working really well with your bylaws. We've been working with not only Dayton, but also Middleborough to be able to provide updated bylaws for you to review, provide us with feedback, and ultimately for you to take forward to a potential town meeting and do that whole process. As of, I believe, tomorrow, we are going to have a peer-to-peer learning exchange with a couple of these communities so that they can discuss with one another and have a little bit more of those intimate conversations on what's going on with their bylaws. A little bit of the bylaw analysis breakdown, just so you can visually see on here. Roughly 70% of the communities do allow OSRDs in their zoning bylaws. 3 allow it by right, 16 require a special permit. There are a small set of communities that do not allow OSRDs within their bylaws. 61% of the region is actually zoned for OSRDs. Open space requirements within the region usually fall somewhere between 20 and 50%. I believe within Dayton's bylaw it is 20%. On average it is 39 within the region. And then the maximum allowed housing lot density is around between 1.09 and 22.23 units per acre. The average in the region is roughly 4.8 acres, units per acre. We wanted to compile all of the information that we received from the
Can I interrupt you
interviews.
just for a second?
Absolutely.
22.23 units per acre?
Units per acre,
That's correct?
yes.
Wow. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why we wanted to be able to provide this information to give context as to what's going on in the region. Some of the community interview takeaways that we heard, which was specific to local utilization of these OSRDs, over 50% of communities are actually seeing that these OSRDs are being used. Generally identified best practices on paper are not really translating directly on what is successful on the ground. A committed planning board seems to be more effective at ensuring low impact and environmentally conscious designs, typically via some type of set of conditions, ultimately, when they do review one of these applications. Challenges that we heard of include ensuring meaningful open space designation and low impact design, which is often a challenge when permitting OSRDs. The ownership and maintenance of open space, typically if this does become the town's, who's really going to maintain this property. We see this as being a challenge, not just in Dayton, but several other communities when it comes to attaining a new piece of land. The resources are spread out so thinly, so even if it does fall at the responsibility of the town and its employees, with the multiple different properties, I'm sure that your staff is already maintaining, taking a look at, ensuring that even zoning regulations are being met. It spreads it out very, 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 very thinly. So ownership and maintenance has been something that has been a topic of conversation as it relates to this bylaw as well. Larger parcels for subdivisions are rare across the region. I think we've really seen it. There really isn't that much space that ultimately is available, all in all, for development. And then there is an educational disconnect between what higher density means and what environmental protection means. Some of the developer and engineer interview takeaways include special permitting not being necessarily more difficult than by right. The ease of permitting depends more on the planning board's flexibility and required level of detail for the yield plan. And then the savings on construction is a worthwhile incentive for OSRDs. Also, surrounding open space does not increase the home sales value. So a little bit about Dayton's conservation subdivision bylaw updates. As I mentioned before, we are providing the service for not just Dayton, but for Middleborough as well. So the purpose of our coming before you and trying to make sure that we're providing the appropriate red line version of your bylaw is to improve the planning board's oversight ultimately, and then encourage low impact development that can be used by developments for better stormwater management. So I wanted to provide just a really high level of your current conservation subdivision bylaw, which is that it's allowed by special permit, it's allowed in the residential and business zoning districts. Going back to the open space that is allowed is roughly 20%, that should be included for what's going to be conserved. The minimum parcel size is roughly 4 acres. The minimum required lot size is approximately 7,500 square feet, with the frontage being 50 feet. And then what's included within your bylaw that we have not seen in every bylaw within the region is that you do have an open space centered design process, which really does take the environment into consideration first before doing some kind of development. SERPIT's calculations of the region is that the maximum allowed density is roughly 5.81 units per acre. The acres that are zoned for OSRDs is approximately, or just shy of 11,000. And then percentage-wise of towns zoned for OSRDs, it's about 76%. So I know this is a bit of a mouthful, but again, going back to wanting to provide you with some context so that you understand how we got to where we are today and why we as SERPID are here before you. So some of the feedback that we received from the town include improving the planning board's oversight, again, encouraging low impact development, and then ensuring thoughtful and context sensitive open space preservation. Some of the observations that we were provided with is that the bylaw is frequently used by developers. Most open space is in fact owned by HOAs. Developers often default to preserving these wetlands. Lots typically are between 10,000 and 12,000 square feet. And to our knowledge, though, I was provided with a little more information on this at last night's Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. No conservation subdivision approval has occurred since 2015. However, we are aware of the Forest Hills appeal and an application that I believe I was informed of that came shortly after 2015. But all that to say, there really have not been many OSRD applications that have gone before the board. And then lastly, developers tend to prefer the 40B projects due to the greater flexibility that they provide. Some of the planning and procedural considerations include providing a unified development review process. This is a way to allow applicants to understand what a completed application truly means before they go before any of the boards. Encouraging, again, pre-consultation meetings to vet any open space, potential uses, and ownership early on in the process, just to ensure that things are being streamlined. Requiring both the submission of a conventional and conservation subdivision plan so that folks can understand what the difference is between the two and what the impacts are when it comes to these two types of developments. Considering developing a narrative requirement, providing some kind of explanation. As I mentioned before, you do have a 4-step design process. That's something that would be that would work well within this narrative requirement. Justifying the selection and condition of the proposed open space, and then identifying existing and planned recreational amenities, ownership, and connectivity. All to say, just to provide some kind of context as to why an application is even going before a board. Design flexibility is also something that we were told should be encouraged. Some open space issues and recommendations from the town include going back to the 20% open space requirement. Is that too low? Is that too high? Maximum of 25% wetland allowance, emphasizing the usability and accessibility of the open space. Recreational amenities should be encouraged. Adding language to specify types of recreational uses or favored open space. Requiring maintenance plans and enforcement mechanisms for this. Clarifying and defining contiguity. At the end of this redlined version of the bylaw, we do have a short set of definitions just to provide a little more clarification as to what folks are reading. Considering requiring conservation restrictions for any land that is not conveyed to the town. So this brings us right before providing you with the redlined version of this bylaw. Ultimately, as Serped, what we did was we reviewed the town's master plan, the open space and recreation plan. We were informed that the stormwater bylaw is currently being updated by the town. There is a consultant that is doing that work, but we did take the time to review the current bylaw just to see what information is in there. What we did with this redline version is we did reference it. We're unsure as to what the specific changes are in terms of the language in that draft bylaw. However, we have been in conversation with, I believe, the chairperson for the Stormwater Committee in having them just let us know when their next meeting is, and also providing us with any updated information when it comes to that stormwater bylaw update. We did also review the low-impact development report that was done specifically for Dayton. There are several recommendations in there, a wealth of information that we've been able to incorporate within this redline version. We also reviewed the subdivision rules and regulations. And lastly, we took a look at Mass Audubon's bylaw review for low-impact development and climate-smart, nature-based solutions. All this to say, we did a lot of investigation, a lot of review. We wanted to make sure that all of this makes sense based on all the community processes that you've had over the years, and also come before each of the boards. So tonight we're before the Board of Selectmen. Last night we went before the Zoning Board of Appeals, previously Planning Board. We're kind of doing a tour, is what I'm calling it. So we'll be before the Parks and Recreation Commission. We'll also go before Open Space and several others. So we want to make sure that we're really listening to you and making sure that, is there anything in this bylaw that we've either missed that should be considered? Are there any other reports that we really should be looking at just in case? We want to make sure that ultimately the information that we're providing you, we took the time to review it, to pay attention, to generate all the feedback and come to you with a redline version or a more improved redline version than the one you're even seeing tonight. So this kind of takes me to the red line version that you were provided with. So what we want to know is, and this is, I mean, as I kind of go through it, several pages, I know that going through something like this takes a lot more than just a quick one-night meeting. So what we've done with other boards is if it's more reasonable to connect via email and provide us with any questions, comments, feedback, we're happy to receive that that way. Unless if you have any questions or comments now, I'm happy to address some of those points.
Yeah, I do. Why does the town take over the open space and not the HOA?
What is the town? So
You said the town is given to the town, but why wouldn't the homeowners association be responsible for the open space?
So it depends on the application. Sometimes these pieces of the property are gifted to the town. So it really is at the discretion of what's going on within that specific application itself. It's hard to pinpoint the reason for each of the different applicants that go before the board, but it really depends on the town resources as to what may fit best
It
for
comes
the
off
town.
the tax roll,
Yeah.
which is always a concern. Not to be greedy, but we're in a tough financial situation, and don't necessarily want to lose the opportunity to collect taxes on those pieces of the land. Not to get hung up on that. I mean, you did a great job presenting it, and I'm glad we have the update. So you've already gone to the planning board?
Yes, correct.
And how'd it go last night with the ZBA?
I'm
The
sorry.
zoning board of appeals, you said you presented it last night?
Yes.
And they were receptive to it, I take it? And
Yes, both
Okay.
boards were very receptive. They did have a few questions, comments. We did receive some comments via email
Yep.
as well. So what we're doing is we're really just receiving everything. I do want to note, because this is very important, our contract actually ends June 30th
of this year?
of
right?
this year. So it's a pretty rapid turnaround. What we're doing is, as we go along with this tour, we're making sure to make any appropriate updates, addressing any points, any questions that we receive, also via your town staff as well, so that they have that information to provide you with.
We met in September, and it seemed like it was a long way away, June 30th.
Yes.
Like we had all the time in the world, but obviously we don't. Okay. Nicole, do you have any questions?
No.
No? Okay, Mark?
So this was grant funded, this
Yes,
project? Was it a federal grant or a state grant? I'm just curious,
So-
how do we get these?
So that is, I believe that is a federal grant or EA state grant. So it's at no cost to the town, something that is incredibly helpful. I know that and I know you mentioned that going back to resources, it was being spread very, very thinly. If the town chooses to continue this work, we can help address those points. We can also help you find any grants that are appropriate to further this work along.
Right. Okay.
So we, at Serpent, what we always try to do is make sure that we're not creating another burden for a town, but seeing what we can do in terms of funds that are available, how
Right.
we can submit more competitive grants.
How much was this grant for?
I would honestly have to go back
Okay.
and no.
It's not a big deal.
This was started well before my time.
Right,
So I would
okay.
have to go back and
Sure.
look at that information.
Okay.
This might not be the right topic, but is there a way you can build in impact fees into something like to this bylaw here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay, that's something that, it's funny, we have Mr. Perry here who's done work on it, and we've talked about it as a board, impact fees. So anything we can do to further that discussion with Serpent, or any resources you can give us, we'd love to explore that some more.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
May I ask a couple questions on this?
On this? Sure. Yep.
If you could just come to the mic, sorry.
Robert Perry, 1531 Stanzione Drive. On page, well, I labeled it 13, but open space issues and recommendations from the town, this page here. one of the bullet points was required maintenance plans and enforcement mechanisms, including timelines, inspections, and penalties. Of whom? Because once the developer leaves, who's going to be responsible for the maintenance of, let's say, drainage catchments, those kinds of things? Who do you envision would be responsible for that?
So going back to the point of resources being spread very thinly, it's easy to say, well, the town will take care of A, B, C, and D, but that is a very challenging point in terms of if the town does take on the ownership of this piece of property, will they be able to have the capacity to maintain this property? And typically, and this is not something that is only relevant for Dayton, but several communities, even in the whole Commonwealth, is there's always some kind of maintenance issue.
Well, I recognize that,
Yeah.
but the question is, once the developer leaves town, it seems to me that this requirement would fall onto either a HOA or the town, because the developer's gone. So I think that issue needs to be addressed and welded and bolted down, et cetera, in any plans that are developed by the town, because I would hate to see the town have to pick up something by default. So that needs to be crystal clear before whoever signs off on, plans for development. Okay.
I'm never thrilled about the town taking these gifts as open space. It just, for the reason he just said and what I had said earlier about coming off the tax rolls, the burden falls somewhere.
And the other thing is, and these are old figures that I'm recalling, but for every dollar that's taken in tax revenue on a home, it costs the municipality about $1.40, $1.50, okay? My second point, if I may,
Sure.
On that same page is recreational amenities. It says playgrounds, trails should be encouraged. I think they should be required. That's just a personal opinion, but I think they should be required of the developer. The developer is not coming into town to do great things for the town. He's coming in to make a profit for his or her company. I think they can leave part of that behind, okay, in recreational areas. And finally, the page prior to that, planning procedure and considerations from the town, down here, and it's this page right here. Okay. It's the one prior to the one I just spoke of.
Planning and procedural considerations for the town.
It says design flexibility, narrower road widths. I don't even think that should be considered. We have to consider emergency vehicles, et cetera, and there are several. There's one development in particular which has not gone to public or town roads, et cetera, but when people park on either side of the street, and I don't mean opposite each other, okay, but let's say staggered down, you cannot get a fire truck or an ambulance down the street. So that shouldn't even be on the board here, smaller or narrower road widths.
Right.
Those are my comments.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of that is planning board, as you're aware, but they're pretty strict with these subdivisions. So
Oh, I recognize that. I just want to make the point that there are some things that should be under consideration, but there's some things that there should be, it's not a give and take.
No. Great, thank you, sir. Mark, do you have anything else?
No, I appreciate the comments.
Michelle, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay, Nicole, announcements.
The Dayton Historical Society is having their annual Dayton Strawberry Festival on Saturday, June 7th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This event will take place at the Lions Pavilion. There will be craft vendors, live music, children's activities, and strawberry shortcake. The Town of Dayton's annual town meeting will take place on Monday, June 9th at the Dayton Rehoboth High School auditorium. The meeting will begin at 7 p.m. Warrant article information will be mailed to each home prior to the meeting. The Dayton's Lions Food Bank will be held next on Saturday, June 21st, located at Town Hall in the lower level. And then the following lists of boards and committees have vacancies: Cable Television Committee, Cemetery Commission, Commission on Disability, Conservation Commission, Historical Commission, and Open Space Committee, and Trails Committee. And I just want to add that this weekend is the Cow Chip Festival.
Right. Is Saturday rain or shine, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Nicole. Ralph, you're up.
Thank you.
Selectmen's reports first. I'm sorry. Usually it's the other way around, I think. But Nicole, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Mark, do you have anything?
I just want to thank our Veterans Agent, Ray Haig, and our Highway Superintendent, Police and Fire, all of our veterans who showed up, and residents to the Memorial Day ceremony. As always, Ray and all the attendees did a fantastic job, and it was a very nice service and ceremony. So I just wanted to mention that, and I think that's all I have.
You released the dove.
We did.
Or is it a pigeon? I don't.
I think it's technically a pigeon, but
Okay.
it's not.
Yeah. Let's glamorize it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you. So a few things on the town administrator's report. Thing number one, we applied for and we received the municipal fiber grant award. So we received it. It's in the amount of a little more than $180,000. And as you know, the matching funds, we put it on the article in the town warrant. So hopefully that will all go through. The fiber grant is to complete the connectivity to the highway, transfer station, and the ACOs, animal control officers, trailer, and then also to increase the connectivity between the water towers for the redundancy to help 911 calls and the first responders. So we're very happy to have received that, and we'll be working on it, and we'll be keeping you informed. Next thing, we got the warrant printed up. It should be getting mailed out Friday. And in the warrant, we were able to get all the fact sheet, both fact sheets for the enterprise fund. They're right up front. I encourage people to look at it, read it. Any questions, please call Town Hall. And in aligning with that, Peter and I did the Selectmen's report. It was a very good question and answer session regarding the sanitation enterprise fund. So Cable is sort of cleaning it up, and we're hoping to get it up and running tomorrow. So we're going to have a link on our website, link on Facebook, and of course, people who have Channel 9 will be running several times from now till annual town meeting. So that's what I have for now.
Thank you. Piggybacking on that, we did record it yesterday, and we have it's open to anybody. You want to take a shot at it, or Nicole? It's not just me, and it's not going to be just Ralph. The first one went great, but we hope to have many conversations with the residents to view. I refer to them as public service announcements, but it's really just a way to get more information out there, because so many times we hear, I don't know, I didn't know, and it's just another avenue for people to be aware of things. We will film it every Thursday for the following week, where it will air a couple times a day for the week until the new one comes out. Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
I think that will hit another segment of our folks we've already kind of put stuff on the website,
Right.
social media. the warrant mailing and now being able to have that available on cable for folks. It's really trying to cover all our residents and
Right.
however they get their information. So thank you both.
I think a lot of people watch Channel 9,
Yes,
if it's not on in the background.
right. Except for you and I, because we don't get it.
We don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Oh, no?
Oh, we're right on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Peter.
Yes, sir.
That is on YouTube right now.
Oh, it is on
Oh,
YouTube.
good.
Yeah, and then tomorrow will be on Channel 9. We'll
Great.
publish it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is the first of the 2 public inputs. Mr. Perry, I know you had something you want to add?
Yes. Again, good evening. I'd like to circle back to something, a point that Selectman Pacheco made. And it was interesting, the conversation about we should have this, we should have that. I'm in 100% agreement with him. I think perhaps some sort of a process should be developed, and I'm going back to other careers that I've had.
Sure.
I think when information, when a decision document comes up to you, the decision makers, I think it should be signed off by every chief, every superintendent, whatever, HR, finance, et cetera, even if they have no piece of it. Because then you know, to his point, you know as decision makers that somebody has had eyes on that document. It's gone through them. If they've made no input other than signing it, great. If they've made an input, you have that for your review. But I think that's absolutely critical. And again, to Selectman Pacheco's point, you know you have the final input from everyone. And if somebody tries to back away, say, here's your signature right here, okay? And I thought that was so important that I wanted to follow up on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? She was here first. I'm sorry, Lenny.
Alicia Wilson, 2043 Somerset Ave.
Yes.
First, I'd like to thank the board again for their consideration regarding Joe's license. I know this has been up in front of the board multiple times. I do still have some concerns about what happens to the property now that the license is not in use, because it is a mess with all the junking stuff. There's a Connex box in the front yard and other items, and if it's not going to be operated as a quote-unquote junkyard any longer, and you know, I understand that he's going to be making noise in the yard, like everybody does. This is perfectly reasonable. But just that fine line of bringing items back from potential jobs that he might have, where he's parking a trailer in his yard, or, you know, the multiple items that are still remaining in the yard are of some concern. I'd also like to set the record straight. The neighborhood is awesome for the most part. There are some quirks, and my daughter does enjoy riding her bike up and down the road with her friend who lives across the street, and there are no other issues. So I just wanted to set the record straight with that. It's a very nice all-around neighborhood, and I do thank Mr. LePage for being a good neighbor, as well as, you know, Mr. Frazzato trying to help out as well. So it's good neighbors. We just have that one little quirk that I think needs some finessing, and kind of bright line rules of what's allowed to happen. It's great that the license doesn't exist anymore, but the license wasn't there a few years ago, and the junking was still going on without the license. So that's just, I wanted to state that.
Great.
To the board. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to that?
Sure.
I think it would be appropriate just to give the neighborhood and Mr. Frazzato some clarity if, and I'm going to make a motion after my statement, if the board refers the issue of the expired junk dealer's license to the building commissioner to weigh in on the do's and don'ts and the can and cannots of that property, so the neighbors have some clarity on what's acceptable and what's not. Like I heard Connex box in the yard. I know the license said that junking had to be in the rear of the property. So if he's not operating a junk dealer's license, is that acceptable? I don't know. I'm not the zoning enforcement agent. I know I discussed, like, if neighbors see things, the proper channel is to record it and refer it to the zoning enforcement agency. but I think as selectmen who, since we were the licensing authority and we did issue it, it'd be helpful to us and the neighborhood if we just refer the issue to the zoning enforcement agent, our building commissioner, so we all are on the same page.
Right, I agree. I'm not sure what we as a board can do with the debris that's in his yard. It might become a Board of Health issue if it creates pests and whatnot, but we can't force him to go in and make his yard presentable. It's his private yard at this point.
But then the zoning enforcement agent could fill in the blanks for us.
Sure.
What can and cannot be done.
Right. Obviously, he just can't do a business there. Right. Okay.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to refer the issue of the expired junk dealer's license to the zoning enforcement agent for his review and comment back to the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Who's next? Mr. LePage, how are you?
Infamous Mr. LePage. My only concern is with Frazado not wanting his junkyard license anymore. He's going to go back to doing what he was doing before he had a license, but I don't have to explain it to you folks because you're intelligent enough to know what he's going to do. So my concern is, like Alicia's, is how we're going to enforce. I mean, everybody makes noise in their yard and mow lawns, things like that. Right now, he has some barrels in his backyard, and every day there's a barrel or two, expands, bang, and then it goes down again, and expands again. So I'm wondering what's in those barrels. There are some barrels back there. I mean, I can't see them from my property, even though he thinks I look over his fence all the time. But there is something going on in those barrels. I'm not sure if it's oil, gasoline, and that whole site really should be tested for contamination because it is bad, very bad. You know, as far as Alicia bringing attention to me about the Cobb Lane, I take care of Cobb Lane. I mow Cobb Lane. I figure I can help out the town a little bit doing that, and I appreciate doing that. And the neighbors enjoy it, and a lot more people are walking down Cobb Lane because you go right down to the boatyard. It's beautiful. Plus, I own all the property down there anyway, so it's a better thing for the whole town. But I'm very concerned about if he can't comply with the rules like he was supposed to before with a junkyard permit, which I don't have to tell you people. He's not going to change anything. And his Mike Frazado, first time I ever met him, I don't know what he's got involved in that, but it's like if he wants to have a junkyard, rent a spot somewhere and run a junkyard where it's legitimate and legal. But he doesn't want to pay the money for it, obviously. You know. But that's what it's always been. I've been there for 50 years. It's been 50 years of hell.
Sure.
Constant hell. And thanks for Alicia for supporting me in this matter and bringing it to you folks' attention as well.
Sure.
And I appreciate all your attention to it.
Yeah,
well.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on with the barrels, unless it's a health hazard. I don't think we have the right just to go take a peek.
What would cause that noise, though? I mean, it's got to be oil or something. It's just not,
I don't
it's
know.
not normal. I mean, it's very loud.
Maybe Tom has an idea, but
What could it be, Tom?
Usually if they expand the contract a lot, they're empty.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right. Well, that'd be good news.
Yeah.
That'd be great news.
Okay.
All right. So that's possible. Good.
I know you're interested in having him clean up his yard, but there are...
That will never happen. I know it.
It's up to him and what he wants to live under.
Right.
If he can't conduct a business.
Right.
So he can't. Now that I don't have a license, I don't have a business. I'm going to run a business.
Right.
It can't happen, and that's why when Mr. Pacheco said,
That's my concern.
getting the neighbors up to date, as well as the building inspector, who is the enforcement officer, made aware of this is what is happening.
Mhm.
It's about the most we can do at this point.
Okay.
But we'll certainly try.
No, and I appreciate all your help in this matter.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hull?
We can make sure that the building commissioner also gets Mr. LePage's comment too, because that was helpful for his review. Okay, thank you.
Leonard Hull, 760 Main Street, Dayton. Last week, I was called out for what was perceived by some as criticism toward the conservation agent. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly apologize for my comments if they upset the agent. It was not my intent to do that. One of the perceptions that exists in town is that the agent is the face of the Conservation Commission, and that perception is unfair to the agent. She works very hard for the town, but she works for the commission and the Board of Selectmen and does not have the final say on matters. Her bosses do. My comments, I thought, were neutral and made pro-developers happy and conservationists upset. But the point of my comments on social media was to bring attention to the fact that Dayton has a lot of work to do in the area of growth and development. High tax rates have elderly landowners looking to sell, and there are only so many solar farms that you can build. The town has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting developers in recent years. Some of those developers have spent little in legal fees, thanks to Mass Housing Alliance. And they will continue to fight. When is enough enough? And what does the town plan to do to control raising legal costs? Governor Healy is looking for an affordable housing plan. Has Dayton even started working on one? Because you do fall within the MBTA impact zone. We have a land use committee. When was the last time that committee met? I was happy to see Serpent here tonight, and my experiences with them and a couple of different plans that they are working on is outstanding. And I would strongly encourage Dayton to continue to work with them. But who is going to coordinate the work on the plan? We have various boards, ZBA, planning, conservation, even the Board of Selectmen. Who is going to take the lead to coordinate it? Because some of those plans, including the one that was discussed tonight, have been discussed for over 4 years. Time we put something together that has teeth. The recent discussion regarding the dam and Zeneca property generated much discussion around town, and the consensus seems to be the desire for the cash-strapped town to keep as much land as possible available for taxable development rather than open space or conservation land. I respectfully ask the Board of Selectmen to keep this in mind when they negotiate with AstraZeneca, as I heard at the meeting when they made their presentation, that there are negotiations going on. In closing, last week I was somewhat surprised that I, as a citizen, not a town official, took the heat that I got from some officials in town. However, I would like to thank Town Administrator Ralph Bataka, Selectman Karen, Selectman Pacheco, and Conservation Commissioner Paul Reynolds for the professionalism, the insight, and the respect they showed me in this matter. Thank you.
Just want to clarify something. We're part of the MBTA zone?
I didn't think we were.
I thought we weren't.
Two
Did it
things, if
expand?
I may. It's kind of funny. We thought we were. Actually, when I was doing my research on coming into the town, I thought Dayton was, but it is not.
Oh.
It's, and I just learned this myself. And Jeff Cavallo from the Planning Board, he showed me the map, and we confirmed with Serpent we are not. And then the housing production plan that we'll be working with Serpent. That is what the state looks for when it comes to affordable housing. So the housing production plan is in the works.
Oh, thank you.
Nancy Goulart, 631 Gray Terrace, also chairman of the Stormwater Committee. And I was going to just say exactly what Mr. Pataco said. I was at the planning board meeting last week, and Mr. Cavallo looked it up because there was concern about it. And no, Dayton, thank goodness, is not in that circle.
Is the negotiation or talks to make it bigger than what it is right now?
Not that I know
So
of.
They can't even get the people that are in it to comply.
Oh, I know. And I thought that's why they'd expand it.
Yeah, right? See that they can fool? I don't think
It seems
so.
to be communities that directly abut communities that have rail. Norton, Attleboro,
Freetown, I think.
Seekonk, because it's of proximity to Attleboro. But we're kind of here we got Somerset between us and Fall River.
Yep.
We've got Berkeley between us and Lakeville, or Middleborough, whatever that is. I'm surprised that the Taunton link hasn't been brought up, but, because that would.
That's why we want you to be quiet about it, Nancy.
But not that, not that I'm looking for that. What I wanted to mention was, Michelle Tinger from SERP had mentioned that the Stormwater Committee had not been involved.
Right.
She did get in touch with me and asked me to review the draft. And I said to her, the problem is, everything stormwater is being reviewed by an engineer from Weston and Sampson under a grant. It's not ready at this time. So if I review it and give you feedback, I don't know what's in her report. And you could put stuff in there that when the report comes out, it wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
She asked if she could contact Jerry Schwartz, the engineer, and I said to her, it wouldn't be appropriate. Weston and Sampson has contracted with the town of Dayton to do this study. They are obligated to provide that to the town of Dayton first, and the town of Dayton should have the opportunity to respond and get a final draft, which would make it public, and we could do that. I realize she has a deadline also. I think the ARPA money is got to be spent by September. And I know based on the invoices I've seen, there's not much money left, so she's getting to the end of it. But that was the reason we didn't provide feedback, because we were concerned that anything that we give at this point in time may not be factual or might need to be changed. So what we said was the best thing that could be recommended is that somewhere in your report it states that developers or whoever it is that this applies to should contact or should be aware of the stormwater rules and regulations. In other words, give it a cross-reference without putting rules and regs in there that we don't know are at this point going to be recommended by Weston and Sampson. All we know is I expect changes, and that will be reflected in the report. Regulations can be put into place without a public hearing. Bylaw changes will have to go before a town meeting. So that's also part of what they're doing, along with the reviewing of testing and stuff that the EPA is requiring us to do down the road. So I didn't want you to think we refused to deal with them, but
I didn't
that
think
was
so.
the reason.
Sure.
The conversation you just had about the ability to go on someone's property and order them to clean it up.
Yeah.
Yes, the Board of Health can do that. When I was a chairman of the Board of Health and a selectman, whenever we get a call, Board of Health had to go to a location, indoors sometimes, outdoors other times. We would call in our health agent, and he would pretty much look at things like accumulated equipment, junk, trash, just, throw everything in the yard, let it pile up, bedding, anything you can think of that could have been disposed of at the landfill for a price. You can't have that stuff accumulate because you create a harborage for rats and mice and other small animals. You also set up potential storage of water, and we know how, they tell you empty out your things out in the yard after it rains to make sure you don't breed mosquitoes and other types of things. So, yes, and so when those inspections were done, the initial visit would be done by the Board of Health. And sometimes we were called to sites by the by the police, even the state police. And we would go to the site, and if it was police, what is it? I mean, something's obvious, but you have to ask, why were we called? And they would be there, whether it was all out in the yard or you've got to go in the house. And that's been done too. And then a report would be written up. The health agent would work with them because they would have timelines. Okay, you've got some things they had to address immediately, like food. If there was food or food waste in the yard, you got to get it out of here. I mean, that's number one. But there were other things like unsanitary conditions in the house. The health agent would give them so many days to get it done. And if they had to hire, let's say, a carpenter to clean up flooring that was stained, they get a little extra time, as long as they were making the effort. I know there was one property, it was over 60 days before it was all cleaned up, but the health agent stayed with them, and it did get taken care of. So it can be done. Again, the Board of Health is the enforcing agency. Quite frankly, calls came in at interesting hours of the day and night. Even a call because of a fire, spontaneous combustion. But when the police and fire department got there were animals that were in very bad condition. And so the Board of Health was called in. And I know it was dark, I know it was winter, it was cold, it was icy. And changes had to be made immediately because there was one animal with a broken leg. So that's just, I'm not pushing it down the road, but technically we had to do it, so.
Okay.
And mainly the harborage and standing water, those are really bad. The flag for the Aggie School. I am still waiting for the person who supposedly knows who made the flag to come back in town. I contacted the only flag maker in New Bedford, and she was here in 2012 when supposedly work was done for the town of Dayton.
Yep.
I asked her to look for it, and she hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay.
So.
What's our recourse?
Well, when the family comes back to town, it's supposed to be in May, I will try again. If not, I will go back to the sister of the person who created the flag and say to her, can the town borrow it?
Yep.
We have struck out everywhere. She's the one that suggested I contact these other people.
Okay.
So,
Nancy, your last time you presented that, you talked about the need of a vector file for it, and I know in my time as town clerk, the town paid to have a new vector file made of the town seal. So I know the town has that on file. It was redone. I know it doesn't look just
but
like
it's not so much the seal, it's the whole thing, the blue, exactly.
that we don't have.
But, and I talked, Pat Gale stopped me the other day and asked me about it, and I told her the same thing. And I said, the sister of the person who created it did not tell me she didn't have it. I don't know if it's in storage or where it's, but I haven't given up yet. But anyhow, I think that's everything else. I just want to express my appreciation for allowing me to speak when I got up previously. Public input would not have sufficed because when you said past practice, had I waited to speak now on that issue, you would have already acted. And if what I was going to say would affect a positive vote, you needed to know it at the time. If it was a negative vote and I got up and told you stuff, whatever, then it would have to be reconsidered. I mean, so I just appreciate that. And Mr. Pacheco, I will not ask to speak unless I really have something that the board needs to know, because I've probably been involved with it. So I just thank you very much for letting me speak.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we should make a motion to also refer the issue of the junk dealer's license to the Board of Health. It just makes sense.
We
That way we don't waste time.
we had talked about you when you had said having that understanding with the neighbors and Mr. Fazzato and building inspector, include the Board of Health with that.
Did we already have that in the motion?
Well, did we make that in the motion when he said about?
You made a motion to refer to the building commissioner?
Right. I don't think he said Board of Health.
No, he did not. He did
I think
not.
it might be a separate issue, a zoning issue, and maybe also the standing water and the harborage eroded, so it might be two separate issues.
Sure, so make it a motion.
I'll make a motion to refer the issue of the expired junk dealer's license to the Board of Health as well.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And I have public input too. Just,
Sure.
I think public input is wonderful, and I'm glad that we have it on our meeting twice on our agenda. I think that's great. And sometimes it makes sense to have public input during a review, discuss, act, like the Serpide presentation we had where the public was there. I just think, you know, we have an open meeting with the executive board. We're making decisions, you know, for our town. We're elected officials. But I think it's a slippery slope. I respect Nancy's, she has so much experience on the Board of Selectmen and so many other roles that she's held throughout the town, but if you open up to one, you have to open up to everyone. And when Nancy did speak, there were other people in the audience raising their hand to speak on the issue, and I just think, I said it before in the past when we were talking about employment matters or appointments of folks, and for me, it just always feels wrong to accept public input.
Okay.
I would rather, almost to Nancy's point, reconsider something at the appropriate time.
Right. Okay. Great. Anything else? No? Then on to new business. This is a review, discuss, and act MOU of Serpide and the Town of Dayton's Regional Energy Planning Assistance.
It's a this is a Serpide night. This is a MOU with Serpide. They're extremely helpful in helping us assist with the annual report for the green community. So we really use their assistance with this, and they have grant money, and they bill us, which they bill back to the grant they get. So this is just authorizing me to sign the MOU of understanding that that the money that's accepted for it, that the town knows it, and we apply it to the green communities.
Mm-hmm. So we're just authorizing you to sign?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion for the town administrator to sign the MOU between Serpide and the town of Dayton for regional energy planning assistance.
I'll second that.
Motion made and has been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Ratify contracts. This is again a review, discuss, and act. Animal control officer? I don't think there's any more discussion.
No, we had, it was presented at executive session. The board reviewed them, and now it's just in time for ratification of the contracts that were presented. So,
Are you comfortable if we do it all in one motion?
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the contracts for animal control officer, town accountant, administrative assistant to the Board of Selectmen, and the executive assistant human resources coordinator.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Dave, the light is not on for recording in progress. Is that okay?
Yeah, what happened, someone basically, they swapped out a power supply.
Oh, okay.
And I got everything together except for that light, and then we were afraid I was going to disturb something during the meeting.
Sure.
So if anybody's watching, sorry.
That's okay.
Somebody added something to this and didn't let me know, and probably when the meeting's over, I'll make sure that light is working.
Thanks. Okay, approval of the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants paid by May 29, 2025, 48A-25 for $130,347.73, and 48B-25 for $348,822.95.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have an acknowledgement letter of resignation from Lindsay Waller from Parks and Recreation. This is just an acknowledgement that she is moving out of the area and will no longer be on Parks and Rec.
So what happens? Do they just indicate folks until we
so what happens, this is an elected position, So we will be advertising it, and then the Parks and Recreation will interview, and you'll have a joint meeting. They'll put forward the candidate, and if you're happy with the candidate gets appointed until they fill the unexpired term.
Okay.
And then they could choose to run, or somebody will run.
Okay. So the unexpired term is if they still have 2 years, they fill the 2 years, not until the next election?
No, they fill till the next election.
Okay,
Till the
so
next
next election.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And the Board of Selectmen is the appointing authority for it?
It's a joint committee. It's a joint meeting with the, they make the recommendation to appoint.
Okay,
That was the question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 3 votes or 5 votes, right,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
okay.
It's joint meeting, joint interview, they make the recommendation, you do the appointment.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of May 14th, 2025.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes of May 21st, 2025.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
This is the second public input. Is there anybody online that? I don't think so.
I just meant to say thank you to Lindsay Waller for her service on the Parks and Recreation Department.
Great. Thank you. Then motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is
Thank
that
you.
an official calendar?